Now it's time for What If It Exploded, hosted by Lloyd.
I am starving.
Nobody makes soup in a cup like Lipton cup of soup.
That's good soup.
And this has been What If It Exploded, hosted by me, Lloyd.
Looking for some DVDs and some shirts? Well, you could go to a thrift store, or you could visit our archive site, thecinemasnob.com, which has our various original movies and uncut DVD exclusive episodes, plus the link to our t-shirt and mug store on Bonfire, with everything from Lloyd-approved mugs to snob shirts, Saul, and more. Check it out over at thecinemasnob.com.
Don't mind the motorcycle gang outside. Just more gang coming in there to get my breakfast soup. They probably eat that out on the road. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for being in here. Oh, there's no pretending going on here. It smells weird in here. Is it because of the breakfast cup of noodles? Absolutely it is. And it isn't even smelling like that because it's sitting here right now. It has been since before I even brought it in here. When I put the water in there for the fill cup, put it in the microwave for 4 minutes, instantly smell all throughout the house. So if you love the smell of a nice breakfast buffet and the smell of ramen, you're in luck. It'll smell like that probably throughout our whole building right now. And I do like the smell of breakfast. I do like the smell of ramen. Together, it's weird. It smells so weird in here right now. Like I've got the smell of maple going in this one right here. And then in this one, that nice ramen sauce and spices. So it's meeting together in my head, and they are not getting along at all. Just already someone in the chat is saying, is it Throw Up Tuesday? Narcoleptic Chihuahua Production says, time to watch Brad puke. Hey, that won't happen. That's only happened twice since doing Brad Tries. It happened, let's see, off the top of my head. It happened once with the old Zima, the like 20-plus-year-old bottle of Zima. That largely could have been we did all go out drinking afterwards, so I might have thrown up regardless. I did get I gagged heavily after the 30-year-old Reggie bar. The 30-year-old, I now know what old chocolate and nuts tastes like. It tastes like just wanting to get it the hell out of your mouth, because that taste took forever to get out there. So it was a lot of gagging, a lot of mouthwash to get that out. There was some like rooster themed energy drink that I had one time, and it's not that it tasted bad or anything like that. Just of all the things that I do on this show, from old soda, old macaroni and cheese, more old soda, more old beer, all the fast food products, the one thing that does upset my stomach is energy drinks. Energy drinks and my stomach don't get along, much like the smell of maple and ramen going through my head right now. So I did this energy drink, and also there was a short-lived product called Sandwich in a Can, which was blatant like false advertising, because it sounded like it would just be, like in The Jerk, the cup of pizza or cup of breakfast noodles right there. Like you would open a can and it would just be like ground up sandwich ingredients, but it wasn't. It was like you opened up this can and it was, here's a thing of bread in a bag, here's some jelly packets, some peanut butter packets, make your own sandwich. But anyway, I was so disgusted by the false advertising, that's what made me throw up. Not necessarily the energy drink that didn't mesh well with the sandwich in a can at all. Really, with breakfast ramen noodles, it probably smells appropriate, like you would expect a room with all of these 1983 posters going on in the background. I wonder if this is the only room in the United States right now or elsewhere that has not one but two Screwballs posters in it. Oh yeah, sure. There's the Screwballs poster right there, the small one between Charles Bronson and Tom Cruise right there. That so you know what? That is a good position for that poster to be in, because that poster next to Charles Bronson from 10 to Midnight is kind of reenacting the ending of 10 to Midnight. She's gonna be fine. The naked serial killer's chasing her right there. She's running towards Bronson at the end of 10 to Midnight. And if you know how that movie ends, because it's a great movie and there's a Snob episode on it, you know she's going to be fine. The naked serial killer, not so much. But maybe all for the best. No, I got the smaller Screwballs poster right there. And in case you miss it, the giant one right here, the big one that Laura got for me for my birthday or Christmas, one of the two one year. We used to have this poster at our old place. We used to have it up by the door because she doesn't want it in the living room or anywhere like that. So we put it up by the door. So it just, when you walked in, it just constantly looked like someone was trying to escape. Aha. Charles Bronson doesn't live across from us. You're shit out of luck. Screwballs poster. So, as you can see with all those back there, yeah, I've been back working on the 1983. I got my setup to continue working on 1983 in film. Got May and June written of those years. Those I'll be working on editing those. That should go up on Patreon sometime this week. Really the breakfast noodles that I have right here probably isn't the most unhealthy thing that I've had this week. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, really, but usually, well, for whatever I'm eating on Brad Tries, there's probably something way worse that I'm having for lunch off camera. Oh, and get your super chat questions in here as well. I see we already got one in there that we'll get to. We'll be answering your super chat questions once I eat some of these breakfast noodles. The in-laws were in town last week, my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law, which kind of like when my mom came to town a couple weeks prior. It's just an excuse to go to the dessert places and eat a bunch of junk. That's what we did. When my mom was in town, we went to a place called Cinnaholic with these gourmet cinnamon rolls. Very delicious. Definitely not a breakfast place because it's not even open during breakfast hours. No matter how much I could go for a cinnamon toast crunch cinnamon roll. That would probably be a better breakfast, maybe, arguably, than the breakfast noodles that I'm about to eat. But no, we have another place around here that's called Cookie Dough Creations, and so we went to that. And again, yes, I did get the Moose Tracks ice cream with about 4 scoops of peanut butter cookie dough on top of it. But it's okay. Family is in town. Your body knows when that's the case. And it's not going to work against you if you eat something like that. I spread it over a couple of days, and I did hit the treadmill earlier. Earlier I actually went walking outside because, talk about counterintuitive, I had to stop by Burger King because originally I wasn't sure if it was going to be the breakfast noodles for Brad Tries Today, because there is a Spider-Man Whopper that has been released, and I've done a few of the I've done a few of the specialty Whoppers that they released. I did that Halloween one or whatever it was, the one that turned your shit green. I did that one. Don't know what the Spider-Man Whopper will do to your shit. Oh my God, a bunch of spiders. Touche, Burger King. But no, that's the Spider-Man Whopper has been released in most places. It's not released yet near our Burger King. I walked in there and I felt so stupid. I walked in there and I didn't see it on the menu, but that doesn't mean anything. When I got the Ghost Pepper Whopper from there, it wasn't on the menu yet. But I went in there and I said, yeah, do you have the Spider-Man Whopper? She's like, oh, no, I don't think we have that yet. We should be getting it in a couple of days. And I'm just like, well, I'll be back. just leave. Just like some geek just walked in here and wanted a Spider-Man Whopper, and when we didn't have it, he just left. If we could have just given you a regular Whopper and put like some red icing around it or write Spider-Man on it. There might be some spiders out by the dumpster out back. We can throw some webs on there if you want. Yeah, sure, why not? That sounds like it'd be an interesting Brad Tries episode. More so than what the Spider-Man Whopper actually is. But I'll check. I'll be keeping an eye out for when the Spider-Man Whopper comes out. We'll have some other stuff coming up for you afterwards. We'll be doing first I'll announce the winner of what the Patreon poll is for what the next Cinema Snob episode is going to be. Then, of course, we'll go back to the Talks box and do our choices for the next poll. So, all right, my stomach is tricking itself into thinking it's really hungry for breakfast noodles. Oh, will you look at that? Oh, yeah. Well, that just looks like it's a week after Thanksgiving, and I need to get rid of a lot of stuff that's in the fridge. I got some ramen that's been in there for about a year, and also some leftover stuffing. Just mix it all in there in a cup. For Thanksgiving. Sounds like something I do on Thanksgiving weekend. I am particularly lazy that weekend. This is, if only, this is just the breakfast of college champions. Oh, yeah, I would say that I would have eaten this for breakfast in college, but I slept till like 5 during college. I woke up and got fast food. That's what I did. Okay, let's get a little fork full of them, the stuffing bits on there. Now, the question is, what kind of breakfast is going to be? Well, it says so right there. It says it's maple syrup, pancakes, sausage, and egg. So when they ask you what flavor of breakfast is the cup of noodles, the answer is yes, all of the breakfast. Okay. My God, my research paper is due. It's more confusing when you smell it. I'll say that. The taste of it, hang on. Let me try to get some more of the breakfast powder. Breakfast powder. That's Cinnamon Toast Crunch shavings, isn't it? I mostly just taste ramen, man, with like a hint of maple. I don't taste any eggs. I mean, sausage, I guess, if I dunked it in a big thing of maple. Pancakes, sure, because of the syrup. Eggs, not so much. I'm going to give it a third chance because I really don't want to. It's not like I stay up late. I don't want to eat this entire thing of breakfast noodles at the inappropriate hour. It says breakfast. You're clearly supposed to wake up first thing in the morning and eat this. I mean, honestly, it's not that it's bad. It's just that the taste of maple in it is so faint. I mean, it's there, but only sort of there, and I really, really have to be looking for it. I can kind of taste maple in it, sure, but if I just straight up took a bite of it, I would be thinking like, oh, okay, it just tastes like I'm eating some like chicken ramen again. Because it was, on sale for $1 each. That's not sale. That's just the regular price. Okay, here's how I could definitely see that working. If I actually did whip up some scrambled eggs or something like that and mixed it all together, I might actually do that tomorrow. Add some hot sauce to it, maybe some peppers. You could make it work. It's underwhelming when you're just kind of eating it out of the cup. Then it is this says limited edition. Can you bring it? Can you take it back? Go back to the drawing board, make it taste a little more like eggs, emphasize the maple a little bit. Or maybe not, because like I said, it was weird when I was smelling both of those things equally. It did. Maybe if they are on equal levels of taste, maybe that totally won't make it work. I don't know, but it's hard to taste anything other than just the straight up ramen taste. But again, if I mix some things into it, this wouldn't be a bad ingredient. I might work with this a little bit tomorrow. I got a little bit of free time tomorrow. I'll be editing here and there, but I need something to eat while I'm editing. That makes sense. Part of that would be ramen. Be editing. Well, let's go ahead and take a look right now and see what I will be editing tomorrow. We did have the results of the Snob poll from last week. Oh, they're in. And yes, I do want to congratulate Revenge of the Ninja for being one of the ones that got 50% of the vote. Revenge of the Ninja won with 50, but that's not the most important thing of this poll. The most important thing is that this is the first time when something short of paradise came in second. It's usually either fourth or dead last. This time, no, it still didn't come anywhere close to winning. I was rooting for it. I really, really was, because I think something short of paradise might have the record right now of the sacrificial melodrama and how long they have been on the polls. I think that might be... Windy City was on there for a while. Independence Day 83 was only on there once, but that was the very first poll, and that's what kind of started the whole trend of like the stock melodrama fifth option. Dreamer was on there only like a few times before it won. Soup for One was on there a handful of times before it won. This one, Something Short of Paradise, has been on there for a while. It's inching closer and closer and closer towards winning. And then for as long as it's been on there, I just have a hunch that by the time I watch that, it'll be underwhelming. So, okay, yeah. The winner, Revenge of the Ninja. And if you haven't seen Revenge of the Ninja, you should. It's the second part in the Canon Films Ninja trilogy. Now, that doesn't really mean anything. It's a ninja trilogy in that Canon Films made 3 ninja movies, so let's call it a trilogy. None of them really have to do with each other. Sho Kosugi is in this, and he was in Enter the Ninja, the first one, but he's playing a different character in both of them. But most people remember a lot of people remember the first one because it's the Franco Nero one, and the third one because the third one is wild. Ninja 3: The Domination, the one that's also a demon possession film. It's the craziest out of all of them. But don't sleep on Revenge of the Ninja. They had an amazing bad things happening to people's faces budget. First of all, it's the story itself. Yeah, Revenge of the Ninja, you can kind of put a plot together in your head. It'll have a ninja and it'll have revenge, and it does have both of those things. But also, it is still the gripping story of a man who comes to America with his son and decides to open up a doll shop, but he has a shady businessman who is importing and distributing heroin inside of said dolls, and he's in a turf war with the mafia. So you kind of have this plot going on with this evil businessman who deals drugs and dolls and is also a ninja, by the way, who is at war with the mob. That itself could be its own plot line, but Sho Kosugi is just dropped to the middle of all this in a revenge plot line where he avenges his family members who still keep getting killed. By that, I mean there is a lot of material in this film. It's fun. There is a lot of bad things happening to people's faces, and it's hilarious every time that happens. There'll be a ninja star to the face, sharp objects to the face, glass, windows, spikes, you name it. They had a really good time messing up people's faces, like one of the henchmen will just turn into Jigsaw from The Punisher. So I'm going to be editing that tomorrow, and that'll be over on Patreon. I might as well answer this question right now, too. I'll get to the previous super chat here in a sec. But Matt Florent says, "What's the status of Left Behind 2?" Well, I'm glad you asked. That was supposed to go up yesterday. The Cinema Snob episode on Left Behind 2. I was already planning on talking about it, so I got a picture right here. Kirk Cameron saying, "Where's the Left Behind 2 review, bro?" That's totally what he's saying, and that is absolutely what he sounds like. Okay, so here's what happened. It's currently going through copyright limbo right now. It is still over on Patreon. You can see it over on Patreon right now, but it got hit with copyright like the same day that I put it up for early viewing last week. And it was the kind of, it's going through appeals. It's going through the second appeal right now, but it's the kind where I can't make it public. I mean, I can make it public technically, but sometimes when things are going through appeals, it can still be monetized, and you can still post it. Eventually it'll get cleared, and you'll get the monetization once it gets cleared. Sometimes that's not the case. You'll be going through an appeal, but it'll still be blocked in certain countries and can't be monetized while it's going through an appeal. That's the case with this. Whenever that happens, you basically just got to wait for it to clear, then it can be made public. And that's what's going on with this one. So, like I said, it's still over on Patreon. Like, it can still be unlisted and things like that, and like you can watch it over there. But once that gets cleared, it'll be made public. I might do. I did post up the isolated reviews from the last stream. Smarty edited together for me the what came out last week, Knights of the Zodiac. Watch that review if you get the chance. Knights of the Zodiac, the most miserable experience I've had in the theater this year. Crap. So yeah, Knights of the Zodiac got posted. Also, the review for Book Club 2 got posted up earlier today. So hopefully soon Left Behind 2 will go up. But we'll also have early viewing for Revenge of the Ninja and a couple more parts of 1983 in film as well. Okay, let's answer. Since I got to that super chat question, let me double back and see which ones I missed and go ahead and answer those. Here we go. And get your super chat questions in too, so we can so we can shoot the shit while I'm still smelling breakfast noodles. Jamie from Mars says, "First time seeing you live." I'm the same person live. I'm just a little bit more stuttery is all. I have watched your videos from the beginning. Ooh, a long time. It has been a life. Every time I think about the fact that it has been 16 years now, I think, whoa, that is a lot more grain on the video footage. There was less hair here, more hair up here. I was a little heavier. I was drinking a lot more back then. Old times. And the videos were a lot shorter, too. Thank you so much for the years of entertainment. Review of Howard the Duck 86. I'll review Howard the Duck 86 if they do another if Marvel does do another Howard the Duck movie or a show or something specific to Howard the Duck. Yeah, I will. I'll do it. I'm kind of saving it for that to tie in if Marvel does anything with Howard the Duck besides just like a cameo. Jacob Matthew Crawford says, "Hello, Brad. First attempt at a super chat. Do you think you'll ever do a snob for Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven?" Good question. I never thought about that. I have thought about not Days of Heaven necessarily, even though sure. Because Terrence Malick, he reached that point where he was starting to put out a movie every year. And then there was like a Night of Cups and Song to Song. Yeah, Song to Song and Night of Cups. And they started getting, the reviews of them started getting less and less and less. And I'm not a big Malick guy to begin with, so even a lot of his that do have great reviews, it's not like I go gaga over them necessarily. It's not entirely my taste, really. But I have thought about like some of his lesser ones maybe doing as a snob. That would be a challenge to see if you can milk something like that out of one of them. Days of Heaven too, yeah. Days of Heaven has really good reviews, but to try to get some comedy out of that, like yeah, maybe. I do like Badlands. I like that's the most probably the most un-Malicky one. There was also one he wrote. What was it called? Where it was, I think it had Alan Arkin in it, and it was like a truck driver movie, and it didn't do very well. Like no one talks about it anymore. It just kind of like came and went. But I kind of remember it being all right. And like if Terrence Malick wrote Two Lane Blacktop, like that's the kind of movie it was. Man, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, maybe something like that I might do. I would, you know what, that would, those would actually be good choices for to fill for the last poll, for the stock last poll option. Like not right after Something Short of Paradise wins, if it ever wins, but because I already have in mind what I'm gonna pick for Something Short of Paradise's replacement. But after that, yeah, maybe like Knight of Cups or Song to Song or something. Glitchy Kitten Crew. Hey, Brad. How could I go about sending you some stuff for Brad Tries? I would love to send you some stuff that we get here that you might not get over there. Shoot me a private message somewhere. We have our email address in the description of these videos. That's the best way to that's the best place to talk to me about stuff like that. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat questions again, everyone. It's this may be hard to believe, but these breakfast noodles, not the most filling things in the world. Kind of wish I made myself some coffee, honestly. That cup of water, it may say White Castle on there, but again, not very filling. Jamie from Mass. Did I say Jamie from Mars earlier? I'm sorry. Jamie from Mass. I should have known. I see you at Mass all the time. I tried at one point to watch all the snobs in a row, but a lot are not on YouTube. Are these anywhere? I'm a big 80s Dan fan. Will there be a comeback? Thank you. Yeah, the snob episodes that aren't on YouTube, because there's some that couldn't be on YouTube for a lot of different reasons. One, the visual quality would severely decrease, and the visual quality is already bad to begin with on a lot of those episodes, so it would decrease even more going over there. The content wouldn't be cleared by YouTube. There's a lot of those old episodes where it's like the wild west of editing video reviews, where there is a lot of clips, a lot of jokes that would not make it past YouTube at all. So, and also even aside from that, there's some of them where I'm like, I don't want that totally representing the channel, really. There's so many old episodes where I would write them in a different way, because episodes were just written differently back then. One, you know, I was kind of just getting used to that format back then. Also, YouTube videos had to be a lot shorter in the early days, so we had a time limit on all of them, so they were written and presented differently. There's a lot of them that weren't linear, and that hasn't been the case for a long time, but there's a lot of old ones where I would totally write them different if I did them again now. Plus I just have a lot more experience now, so they just genuinely be written differently anyway. But you can find them over on our archive site. The old episodes are over at the cinemasnob.com. There's a whole section of the Cinema Snob on there. Also, a lot of different shows that we used to do. We used to have a show called Kung Tai Ted, where I was a karate guy who didn't actually know karate and was talking about old like chopsaki movies, martial arts flicks, Bruceploitation, stuff like that. And there was 80s Dan, this one where I played a guy who magically came to present day from the 1980s. I would do something else with 80s Dan again in the future. Like, theoretically I would. I don't know if I'd actually ever have the time to do that, aside from maybe putting him in a cameo somewhere, which would be Actually, I'm surprised I haven't done this, putting him in a cameo in one of the 80s movies retrospectives, like the year in reviews. Maybe I'll find a place for him somewhere in 1983 in film. I remember at one point, this was not long after we did the Cinema Snob movie, and we were kind of brainstorming like different ideas for what, if there was a movie version of the shows we had at the time, what they would be. And one, it never made it to pre-production, but it came close, was 80s Dan, where it was kind of going to be like a dark comedy takeoff of like The Stepfather, where it turns out 80s Dan is this serial killer who pretends he's from the 80s and infiltrates himself in this group of friends who live together, and so it's kind of a satire of that and also of sitcoms. I think at the beginning his old persona was gonna be like was going to be the Kung Tai Ted character, so it was like they were both the same person who was just this killer who does different characters. Like there was never a script for this or anything. There really wasn't even an outline necessarily or a full one. But that was one. I wouldn't do that now. It's a long since time for that. But no, that's what I would have done for a movie version of that. It would. I say it out loud. I'm just like, that just sounds like an internet movie from like 10 years ago. Except like very R-rated, and it probably would have been kind of graphic. But no, that maybe I'll turn it into a book or something. Okay, let's see if we got any more on here. All right, like we can go ahead and do I think we can go ahead and do the Talks box. Now I actually the other day I had some free time, so I counted how many titles are in here, or got a good gauge of them at least. And there is like 150 or so. Somewhere between 100 and 150. There's a lot of titles in here. I wanted to double check because I started getting some repeats. Like Bikini Island was on here twice in a row. I'll give it to Bikini Island. It got more of a percentage this week than it did the last time. Poor First Responders came in last week. First Responders were the last ones on the scene. First Responders and Ministry of Vengeance came in last time. Didn't matter if it was a faith-based movie or an action movie about a priest. The voters were like, no, needs more revenge, more ninjas. Okay. Well, Ministry of Vengeance might have ninjas in it. Okay. Shake this around quite a bit. I don't want any more repeats, damn it. Except for Something Short of Paradise. That'll be in there until it wins. Okay. Come on. I knew I shouldn't have put a mousetrap in here. What do we have here? Oh, well, okay. This is I would go ahead and Google up an image for this one. But I'm worried about what would come up if I Googled this. This is a movie from 1960. It's the first Russ Meyer movie. It's called The Immoral Mr. Tease. You know that Snob episode I did where it was called Like Wow, the one where the guy found the X-ray glasses in the garbage, put them on, and he could suddenly start seeing people naked, and it was like a pay it forward story where this power makes it to where he finds a job, he has a house, he's rich, so he then passes the nudie glasses on to the next person. That was like a whole genre then of people who just go around and look at people naked. And it maybe Mr. Tease wasn't literally the first one. It might have been, but it was the first one that got some recognition and did well. Like, it was controversial because it's a nudie flick that came out around that time, and it went through some court cases and appeals and all of that. But it did make some money. So then there started being more movies like that. Russ Meyer did a couple the following year. One was called Erotica. The other was Eve and the Handyman. And it again, it's like someone it just something happens to someone, they go around looking in windows and seeing people naked. In Immoral Mr. T's, I'm pretty sure it's because he goes to the dentist and gets too much anesthesia, and, you know, because that was the X-ray, that had the same power as X-ray glasses at the time, he can see people naked. He's already called Mr. T's. Immoral goes perfectly in front of that. So, Immoral Mr. T's. All right. That's the first one that's on there. Let's see if anything else stands a chance against Mr. T's or Something Short of Paradise. Oh, well, we're jumping ahead a little bit in terms of erotic cinema. We started out with the nudie cuties, like dude going around looking at naked women because he went to the dentist, as you do. Now we're jumping into Skinamax territory right here with Body Chemistry. That'll be an interesting one to watch because I mainly remember just Body Chemistry 4. It was, you know, a Skinamax legal thriller that was mainly about the banging. And I remember Body Chemistry 4 more because that one had Larry Poindexter in it. And most importantly, Shannon Tweed. And because Body Chemistry 4 is the one with Shannon Tweed, that meant it got played on Cinemax more than Body Chemistry 1. I'll have to double check, but I don't think she was in Body Chemistry 1. I hope I'm not getting my Shannon Tweed lore wrong. I know it wasn't Shannon Weary in that. Shannon Weary came into Mirror Image, and she wasn't in the first Mirror Images, but she was in Mirror Images 2. And she was in the first 2 Animal Instincts movies, but not the third. I know my Cinemax. As everyone my age does who grew up with the HBO Cinemax package. So, okay, Immoral Mr. T's, Body Chemistry. What other skin flick is going to be in here? Oh, well, here's a repeat. Okay, not a skin flick, though, but we are going back to the 1960s. We're given another chance to 5 Minutes to Live, a.k.a. Murder for... What was it? Murder for... Door-to-Door Maniac. That's it, a.k.a. Door-to-Door Maniac. This is one of the few movies starring Johnny Cash. In this one, he plays a killer who shows up at the house, deadly things happen. Not a skin flick, but might have been playing in some of the same theaters that showed Immoral Mr. T's. All right, what do we got for the fourth one right here? Oh, okay. Well, all right, sure. We got a little... Well, this one I would see, maybe not on Cinemax, but got some play on HBO. This one I'm not afraid to pull up a picture for. Remember Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme? Well, you got it here. The movie that started out conceptually as a sequel to Masters of the Universe, but then Masters of the Universe didn't do quite so well. So instead, we got Jean-Claude Van Damme in Cyborg. There you go. That's the fourth choice on there. And the stock fifth choice is Something Short of Paradise. Let's see. I don't
Looking
know
for
how
some DVDs?
I don't know how I'm predicting that these will go. Either the two nudie flicks might cancel each other out. Maybe. I don't know. I've thought before that some things would cancel each other out, and they don't. Cyborg, I've only seen Cyborg all the way through, like, once. I remember my dad and I renting it. We were like, Van Damme, Cyborg, sweet. This is going to be like if Van Damme started the Terminator. And I remember we watched it. I remember us not liking it. And I remember my dad getting up to use the restroom at one point and just being like, you don't need to pause this. I know nothing is going to happen. We've already seen this same love scene flashback twice. I like how, didn't Albert Pion do that movie? I do like him. So I know that I'll be doing the theatrical cut. I know that there is like a director's cut of it that's longer. Yeah, I'll go with the shorter one. So, okay. You've got Immoral Mr. T's, Body Chemistry, 5 Minutes to Live, and Cyborg. You can make your choice over at patreon.com/the Cinema Snob. It's not on there right now as I'm recording this live, but as soon as the stream ends, I'll hop over there on Patreon and get those choices added. I'm curious where this one is going. All right, let's get to some more super chat questions here. I know there's a couple of them popped up, or a few of them. Okay. Glitchy Kitten Crew says, oh, I forgot. Also, if you ever did a Halloween episode on zombie bloodbath, as my father starred in the film, that would be a riot. I should do that. Zombie bloodbath. Yeah, remind me come Halloween. I tend to forget a lot of things. So once Halloween season comes around, remind me of that. I can take a look at it. It's also a shot on Shitty-O movie. Perfect. It's been a while since I've done one of those. It's been since the one that's literally called the worst horror film ever made. That was the title of the movie. And before then, it was a while since I did a shot on video movie. He goes, so it would be interesting bringing back a genre you haven't talked about in a while. It would. One of the choices in the Tox box just simply says shot on video movie, to where like I would just pick if it were to win, I would just pick a shot on video movie. I got a couple of options in there that are like that. One is there's another. Oh, one is like just says big box VHS. So I just pick something in the background, you know. Danny McGraw says, hi, Brad. My question is, what is your favorite of the musicals you've talked about for Musical March in September? Mine is probably Shock Treatment, Xanadu, or At Long Last Love. It depends on the kind of episode. If it's one that a movie that I genuinely love, and I'm glad I can spotlight it and talk about it more, like Shock Treatment, like Xanadu. Those are cool to do. At Long Last Love was a fun one because that movie was a lot better than I remembered it being. Not even that it's great. I just don't think it was that bad for something that got enormously negative reviews when it came out, to where Peter Bogdanovich had to write an apology for it. It's not that bad. Like I said, it's not like it's the best musical of the 70s, but so bad it required that reaction. I'm with Roger Ebert on that. He kind of said the same thing. I think he gave it 2.5 stars and was like, look, the reaction here is a little dramatic. So that one was an interesting one to talk about. Favorite, though, I do like doing, and I know they're not the most popular ones. I just like doing them. The stuff from the 50s and 60s, like the rock and roll ones, like Rock Around the Clock, Johnny Be Good, Shake, Rattle, and Rock. Last year when I did the forgotten movies from like big bands at the time, like the Hermits movie, the Dave Clark 5 movie, which was genuinely good, like really good. That's called Catch As If You Can, or aka Having a Wild Weekend. That movie's totally worth checking out. That I was really glad I could spotlight that. I would say though the funniest of the ones I did last year of the band movies was the Freddy and the Dreamers movies. Not that the movie was funny, the movie was the worst of the ones I watched last year. But because of that, it was probably the funniest episode, where Freddy and the Dreamers lead a Boy Scout troop and shenanigans. It's 60s bushwhacked starring a band. It was bad. No, though I do like spotlighting the 60s stuff, the rock movies. Like I said, I know stuff like Staying Alive is probably a more popular type of episode for that. For good reason. That's a good episode. That movie's ripe for jokes and talking about. But no, though this year I'll spotlight some ones this year that have been requested for a while, like the Neil Diamond jazz singer. have to look at a list and see which ones I missed. There's things that have been on a list for a while, and I'll get to those. Last year was kind of a year just for me. So spotlighted Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, and the Ferry Cross the Mersey, and those movies. Okay. Jacob Matthew Crawford, I remember you were going to do a Christmas parody called Baby It's Cold Outside. About a year ago, an actual Christmas TV movie came out with that title. Would you change yours if it gets made? Yeah, so that was a movie that the script is already written, and we weren't in pre-production for it. We weighed two possible choices for our next movie. One was Baby It's Cold Outside, which again is this Hallmark Christmas parody where the first half of it starts out like a Hallmark movie and then it turns into a horror film halfway through. So it starred Tamara. Tamara was the same character she played in Jesus Bro. In Jesus Bro, she plays a waitress. She only has like maybe one or two lines. But I thought it would be funny if like, let's go ahead and make the character Tamara's character from Jesus Bro. And it's like sort of a spin-off, even though you don't need to have seen one to see the other. She's like the only character from one that's in this. But so we weighed whether or not to do that or a sequel to the Snob movie. And with the sequel to the Snob movie, we landed on doing that because we had to crowdfund it. And we thought that one might be an easier sell. Not that the other one's not. Like we thought we would get funding for either one, but we could shoot the Snob sequel any time of year, and release it any time. So there was just a lot. It was just kind of safer to do a sequel to the Snob movie at that time because, again, like I said, with making a Christmas parody, you have to shoot it at a specific time of year because it's got to be out at a certain point, and we wanted something out a little bit earlier, so that was why we went with that. But I would still like to do that Christmas parody. If anything, I would probably turn it into a book, honestly. Unless we do make it as a movie. We could still totally like do that again. But if it doesn't, I would turn it into a book because I do like that script. And it wouldn't have the title of Baby It's Cold Outside. Even with a Christmas parody that was out last year called Baby It's Cold Outside. I didn't even know about. I know that there are some like Hallmark Christmas parodies out. I've seen a couple of them. There was one that was on Netflix last year. I think it was on Netflix, where it was about a woman who was directing a Hallmark Christmas movie. Some of it was that movie was kind of clever, and then they had this side character who kept popping up just to explain everything that was going on. That was annoying, but there was some cleverness in that one that was on no, I think it might have been on HBO Max actually. But there was one supporting character, and not the one I'm talking about who was annoying. There was another supporting character who I liked, who was the actress within the movie, and it was, I forget her name, but she was the lead in Christmas Bloody Christmas last year. So it was like she had two Christmas movies. One, a horror movie from Shudder, which I liked a lot, honestly, and another was like a Hallmark parody, playing different types of characters in each one. I was like, damn, she is really versatile. So, no, if I was already planning on changing the name of Baby It's Cold Outside because, one, that's kind of people have parodied that to death by making something dark and calling it that. And now it's just sort of like it's been done, like kind of parodying that title. So I was planning on changing it anyway. And the plot isn't totally hinged on that title, like not to the point to where it couldn't exist with a different title. So I think I'd call it like a Christmas Sacrifice or something, because it has to do with like human sacrifice later in the movie, and that title does actually kind of work for the movie, like more so than Baby It's Cold Outside. Where a lot goes, do you own a Baldo? I don't know what that is. If it's my head, I own that. I'm bald. I've got Where's Waldo books over there. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what that is. I apologize. So, okay. Well, we might... How long have we been going? Oh, we've been going a decent amount of time here. We went for an hour last week when I was talking about the ghost pepper sandwich. The ghost pepper sandwich from Wendy's I did last time. Fire hole update on that. There was a little bit of fire hole. Not to where I was like fully sweating, crying, and limping back to the couch, but a little bit. It happened the next morning. I slept fairly fine. Then the next morning I got up. It was a little hot. The ghost pepper chicken sandwich leaving. To where if there was, to where if there was a tiny cartoon person inside of me, the hotness would have been like a very humid summer day in the Midwest and not just standing right on the sun. So it wasn't total fire hole, just a little bit of the Wendy's ghost pepper sandwich. I'm glad I left it on that note. I'm talking about fire hole and hot shits and Wendy's sandwiches. That is exactly the conversation that makes sense when there's a bowl of breakfast noodles right there, a bunch of 80s posters behind me, one of them being Screwballs, and a list of titles in front of me, one of which being The Immoral Mr. T's. It is going to come back to a fiery ass at some point. Let me make sure I answered all the super chat questions in here. Then we'll get out of here. I'll have some reviews coming up. That's kind of how I'm structuring this. Like Tuesdays will be Brad Tries and super chat show. Then Fridays or Saturdays will be the movie reviews. I'll have at least a couple coming up for you this Friday, Saturday, whenever I do it. Might be Saturday night. I've got Fast and the Furious 10. Why isn't Fast X the one where they go to space? That's the Jason X rules. So I'm seeing that on Thursday, so I'll have that review coming up. And yesterday I was at an early screening. I was at an early screening for the new Gerard Butler movie that comes out. Gerard Butler has a movie coming out in a couple of weeks that's it takes place in Iran. It's an action movie called Kandahar. So I saw that. It is from the director of Greenland, which I loved, which was a Gerard Butler disaster movie, which was fantastic. It is from the director of that. It's these two returning together. I'll be reviewing it this week. I don't want to give it away. It won't get as high of a grade as Greenland did. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to go to our Patreon, patreon.com/theCinemaSnob. If you're any kind of contributor over there, you get to take part in the polls and also the Q&As that we do over there as well, the text Q&As. So once I end here, I'll add this poll, and we'll see what wins. Other than that, cross your fingers that Left Behind 2 will get released. Will get released this week. Excuse me. Picking my breakfast noodles out of my teeth. All right, everyone. Let's get the King Frat theme in here. And I hope you all have a great week. We'll see you possibly Friday or Saturday. That's the sign of a great show, when you don't know when the next episode will be. All right, take care.
Everybody come join the